So this is how I use student-paced Pear Deck. I begin by starting the lesson, and instead of choosing instructor, I actually usually start with instructor pace and introduce this. So think of it as a lecture, the slides that you want to go through. As soon as it opens up, then I do usually start a new session if it prompts me to. And I have the kids join just like you would for any pace. You have them join either by sharing through Google Classroom or joining joinpd.com and enter the code, or you can copy the link and you can share it in the in the Zoom chat. So here's what you'll end up sharing out. Right there, you can click on the link and share it in the Zoom chat, or they can just go to joinpd.com and enter that code. Now, this is where I usually drive the Pear Deck. So when I'm presenting to the students, this is what they're going to end up seeing, but this is where I'm driving it from, typically from another computer. Everything in that notes section is what was in the comments part of your slides. So this is where I would go through and just do my normal lecture. I would go through the slides. I'd ask them to go ahead and fill something out. And as they do, you'll see it pop up on that right-hand side where it says waiting for responses. What students are going to see is the question, but then they're going to have a prompt off to the right-hand side there. Then I run through the rest of the slides talking about their questions, and I give the activity that we're doing that day, for instance. And then I'll go to, for instance, the data table. And this is when I did this assignment, I showed them the video of the data table, and then I walked them through what I wanted them to do on the actual table. So I modeled it for them and wrote it down, and then they wrote it down too. And when I was in that teacher view, I was able to see if everyone was participating and what they were doing. Then I simply would go through and review the other slides that I wanted them to do and what they could expect to see. I could tell them that they're going to have some questions, that they would have some directions to talk about the sim that they would be doing, which would send them out to the Amplify website. And it would go through the directions with them, obviously not this quickly. I would talk to them about the data table, what they would need to do for each of the data tables and what options they would be filling in, and their links that they should have to that to access the simulation for that data table, and then run through the rest of it with them. Sometimes this includes the emails, the key concepts. This was one of the last Pear Decks that we did for this unit, so it kind of wrapped everything up. This page here was particular. I went over in particular because it was pushing them out to Amplify and telling them to turn in the model there. So I emphasized that with them to make sure that they understood the expectation. And then I always put the end of at-home lesson and ask for any questions there. Once I was ready to let them go, I would go to the bottom there, turn on student pace. And at that point, the students could do what they wanted at the pace that they wanted. They could go backwards and forwards on the slides. They could redo a slide if they wanted to. They can do anything. And then at the very end, when I was ready to turn off student pace, usually the morning after it was due, I would go and actually end the session. So I'd go to those three dots again, click on in this session. You can turn off the student pace if you want them to not end the session yet, but once you hit end session, then it'll prompt you to go make sure that you want to turn it off. And this at this point is when You confirm that you want it turned off. This is where you would then go and do the takeaways.